bit of an unplanned broadcast. Should be broadcasting from haps.tv. Should be broadcasting on YouTube for the very first time. And I should also be broadcasting on Facebook, all of which at Bagpiper Don, because I'm Bagpiper Don everywhere online. So back in November, so about the last 2 years, I have been working to publish a book for my post of the Scottish American Military Society. That's the SAMS, Scottish American Military Society. My post is 1889 here in Western Washington. And what started out as planning to be a stack of tunes for our little pipe band, which I am the director of, that idea ended up turning into a book, which is a fundraiser for Post 1889. Anywho, this published back in November. It is the Patriotic Piper. And while I like to talk about the things that I do on my broadcasts, it's not actually so much, hey, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. That's not my purpose. My purpose is, this is the stuff that I get to do, and I'm glad and I'm grateful and I'm fortunate to get to do these. This is my second paper book, and the thing with this is a number of people have asked me to do what I already planned to do, which is to record all the music so other pipers could work on learning the music. That in mind, wherever I'm showing up at between Haps, YouTube, and Facebook, if you make comments, I'm probably not really responding to them this time because I'm just focusing on putting out this music. And I am going to be working from 2 copies of the book. One, so I can every once in a while say, this is the book, because you know it's the book. The other one on my left here, which has the beats per minute written down in it. And the thing is usually I play this music and I just do it to the timing that I know it needs to be. What I don't do is work with a metronome, at least as much as I should. So what I'm going to attempt to do is play everything to the metronome. And if you have the book, you'll see that there is at the beginning is an indicator as to what the tempo range should be. And my first of 8 performance numbers, there are 20 tunes in this book. There are 15 Scottish and Irish recipes as well. There's also tune history and recipe trivia and history. As for the tunes, they are of a Scottish American military and patriotic nature, and it's been an interesting project, and it's still going on, and volume 2 is already being worked on. Anyway, there are 20 tunes in here. They are arranged into 8 performance numbers, and that's what I'm doing this evening. So those of you that want to listen, that is very cool. And those of you who want to work on these tunes, well, that's my intention for tonight. If you're not familiar, these are type of Scottish small pipe. These are not the Highland bagpipes that you're used to within parades, but they have a slightly different sound, and it's not ultimately what I want to put up on YouTube, but it is what I can put together quickly and easily on a Monday night, no less. So anyway, let's start out with the U.S. military set, which is comprised of the U.S. Air Force tune, the Marines hymn, The Army Goes Rolling Along, Anchors Aweigh, and Semper Paratus, which of course is the tune for the Coast Guard. So at 110 beats a minute, here we go. So that is the very first number there, the U.S. military set from, here we go, juggling things, the Patriotic Piper, book I published last year. And those tunes were, of course, the U.S. Air Force, Marines hymn, The Army Goes Rolling Along, Anchors Away, and the Coast Guard tunes, Semper Paratus, at 110 beats a minute. So a little bit more information there. The Scottish American Military Society is actually a congressionally approved veterans organization. It is national to the U.S. We do have, I think, some Canadian members, and there is talk about the organization going international, which would be really cool. I'm hoping that happens. This book, if you are interested, it does have the music and the tunes for 20 Scottish American military patriotic tunes arranged into 8 performance numbers. I have the tune history, and then I also have 15 Scottish and Irish recipes, 15 total, and the history and trivia going along with a lot of those. And a percentage of every book sold goes to help support the my post Scottish American Military Society post 1889. So I am trying to keep the comments down. Chris, I do see that you're there. Appreciate that you're joining me. What I'm doing tonight is just playing through the music from my book, The Patriotic Piper, Volume 1, to do an initial public recording that is ideally going to stick around on YouTube, although it's also going to Facebook tonight and HAPS, anybody here on HAPS. And the idea is simply that this is a quick, easy, if maybe a little bit sloppy way of getting the music in a recorded format available to people so they can hear, because not all of us just learn music from notation, plain and simple. There was a period where I had a devil of a time doing it myself, and when it finally clicked, it was pretty amazing. I didn't think it ever would. But to that end, some people need the audio to go with the notation, and that's certainly fine, and I would love to help support people in doing that. So those of you that want to learn the music, I'm playing it for you now. So the next number here in the book is my, wait a minute, I think I skipped a set. Yeah, you work on a book, and I tell you, the first person to not see things are the person who spent years writing it. So the next number here is actually a Civil War set, and it is comprised of When Johnny Comes Marching Home and the Irish Jaunting Car. And essentially this gives a tune representing more or less to say the North and the South for that piece of American history, troubled though it was, and I'm glad that we came out better for it. Anyway, Civil War set, Johnny, When Johnny Comes Marching Home and the Irish Jaunting Car. This is also at 110 beats a minute. As I recall, most of the music in this book is at about the same tempo, so won't have to adjust too much up and down with my metronome here. So I will be playing these just once through each, the way that we would usually basically play these if our small pipe band was out doing a parade. So I'm playing them in a Scottish martial sort of way, not the way that you usually would do something with this type of instrument. I'm going to play that again, in fact, because I made one egregious error and some others that, well, I'm just conscious about. Anyway. Okay, so that was the Civil War set, comprised of When Johnny Comes Marching Home and the Irish Jaunting Car, being played at a tempo of 110 beats a minute. And next up, this time correctly, is the World War I set, or Great War set, which is also going to be played at 110 beats a minute. Sounds like not too original. It's just these are march tempos. The tunes within the Great War set are Over There and It's a Long Way to Tipperary. Yeah, okay. Okay, so drawing from my book, The Patriotic Piper, which is a fundraiser item for post-1889 of the Scottish American Military Society post-1889, which is my post. This book is available on Amazon as an ebook. It's available like basically everywhere. Look it up as the title, look it up under my name. Anyway, that was the Great War set being played at 110 beats a minute, and that is comprised of two tunes between Over There and It's a Long Way to Tipperary. And the next one here, frankly, is a little bit more interesting and is probably the most challenging number in the whole book. And if I can get my metronome set right, it ends up going at 88 beats a minute, or excuse me, I'm going to do it at 80. Keep it nice and slow, not only to make it easy for myself, but just make it more straightforward for the folks that might be listening to this toward learning the music. And the next number here is the World War II set, and it is comprised of music known to have been played by Bill Millen, who played on D-Day. So much so that he, as we understand, played while under fire on the beach, and he never got hit. The three tunes in this are Highland Laddie, The Nut Brown Maiden, and All the Blue Bonnets Are Over the Border. And I play these all the way straight through. Now, a little bit of explanation to go along with this, of course, is Highland Laddie and Nut Brown Maiden are 2/4s, whereas the Blue Bonnets is a 6/8 march. So if you think about this, little demonstration before we go into this, and I explain this in the book. If you think about this, we get 1, 2, 1, 2. This works for the 2/4 marches. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now in Scottish piping, we tend to count 6/8 either as 1, 2, 1, 2, or if we count them in eighth notes, then we count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that in mind, to go from a 2/4 into a 6/8, you just keep the same tempo right here of 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how you're able to take a single tempo and go from 2/4 into 6/8. As long as you stay the same tempo, it shouldn't be too confusing. But some people look at this and say it can't be done. It absolutely can be done, and it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's the change. You just have to know to make that change as you're ending Brown-Haired Maiden coming into Blue Bonnets. Don't freak out. Play it a bunch of times. Work with your metronome. Get comfortable with it. You'll have no problem with it. Unless you do. Okay, so Highland Laddie, Brown-Haired Maiden, and All the Blue Bonnets Are Over the Border, in that order. There we go. Okay. So that was the World War II set from, which is also known as the Bill Millen set. And that includes Highland Laddie, the Nut Brown Maiden, and All the Blue Bonnets Are Over the Border. That was played at 80 beats a minute. All of the music that I'm playing, if you're just joining me, all the music that I'm playing this evening is from my book, The Patriotic Piper, which is a fundraiser item for the Scottish American Military Society post 1889. This is available on Amazon, and a percentage of every book sold goes to help support my post. That post is 1889. I can say that and sound really cheesy if it would amuse you. Anyway, that is probably the most difficult performance number in this book, and I don't mind being done with it either, even though I can play it. The next number in here, and while I am keeping shout outs to a minimum, I know that Chris is watching here. I guess there's at least about 27 people watching, which is really cool. And I know that I'm also being joined by Rob and Deb. And Rob is, in fact, the regional commander. The foreword in this book is written by him. He is our region commander. And the foreword he wrote in here, amazing. it absolutely sets the tone for the whole book. I get goosebumps, gander bumps every time that I think about it. Anyway, Deb is also our, let's see, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe she is our treasurer? Adjutant, excuse me, that's the right military term. Our adjutant and our quartermaster. There we go. So she is pulling double duty, and that is because she's awesome like that. So the next number in here is the Scottish Patriotic set. And this is comprised, I'll play this in a little bit of a longer approach. This is at 110 beats a minute, so I better change my metronome now. So back to 110. This is comprised of Scotland the Brave and Scots Wha Hae, and not so dissimilar to the last number there. It works with a tempo, but Scotland the Brave is a fast march tune, whereas Scots Wha Hae is slow. And what you end up doing to play this is you go at the tempo for Scotland the Brave. Dum ba ba dee da ba dee dum ba da da dee dum. And then when you get to Scots Wha Hae, you double beat it. Dum ba dee dum bum ba dee do re da. Right? So if you're looking at the notation, if you see a quarter note, you actually get, right? So your quarter note is downbeat, upbeat, downbeat, upbeat. So you get 2 clicks at 110 to do a quarter note. So anyway, and I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I will explain a slight Easter egg that is in the book right after I end up performing the number here. And it has to do with, let's see. Oh, okay. Apparently I had things a little bit backwards. So Rob is regional commander and quartermaster. Deb is the adjutant. Okay, slight difference, but in any case, they are doing service to the post. I am the, I head up the pipe band, so that's my service position, and that's largely how this book ended up coming to fruition, or at least a good portion of that. Along with the work of quite a few people, including quite a few people in the post. So we're going to do Scotland the Brave, Scots Wha Hae, and then back into Scotland the Brave to help illustrate how this goes from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's your metronome click at 110. Okay, there we go. So that is the Scottish Patriotic set at 110 beats a minute, and that is comprised of 2 very patriotic Scottish tunes, which is Scotland the Brave and Scots Fahey, where Wallace bled. And I told you that I was going to tell you a little Easter egg that's in this book. I did this very intentionally. I don't know if anybody else has noticed. They haven't commented. I didn't ask. So this might be the first time this is ever actually covered. So what it comes down to is this. As said, this is a fundraiser item for my post in the Scottish American Military Society post 1889. You will notice in the name of the organization, it is the Scottish American Military Society, not the American Scottish Military Society. It's the Scottish American Military Society. So I have a Scottish patriotic set, and then I have a U.S. patriotic set. It is in that order in the book, following the name of the organization. So there you go. Not a huge Easter egg, but some of us are just that easily amused. So to that end, the U.S. patriotic set is comprised of America the Beautiful and Yankee Doodle. And what I'll probably do is America the Beautiful, Yankee Doodle, Yankee Doodle. And this again is at the slowest of the two tempos, which is 110 as opposed to 115. And here we go. Okay, that is the U.S. patriotic set on page 25. And as said, that is comprised of America the Beautiful and Yankee Doodle, not to be confused with I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. That's a whole different tune. And I played that at 110 beats a minute, which is the slower of the two suggested speeds. And then I believe there's about two more numbers in here. Now we go on to the retreat set, and a lot of the tunes in here are actually very, very standard to piping. This is nothing that I composed. This is nothing hidden, and frankly, it's not anything that you can't get in this book as a bagpiper. But what you won't get in other books is the history that I wrote along with the tunes, and that is the tune history. And I don't have all of them, but I have most of them. And where I don't have the history, I wrote other things that have to do with the tune. As for example, all the blue bonnets are over the border. I couldn't find the history about the Scots that went to France to avoid the English, but they were military essentially, and they wore blue bonnets, hence the name. So I wrote trivia about the blue bonnets that they wore, which was a standard hat at that time. Anyway, so the next number in here is Green Hills Battles Over, which again, very, very standard tunes to Scottish piping. And this will be played at 110 beats a minute. These are retreats, and they are in 3/4 time signature. And it is Green Hills of Tyrol and When the Battle's Over. I think I just said that. I think the coffee's starting to wear off. Okay. So once again, that is the Green Hills Battles Over Retreat set. And it is, of course, comprised of Green Hills of Tyrol and When the Battle is Over. And I played that at 110, or excuse me, just a straight 100 beats a minute, which I think that's kind of fast actually for retreats, but it works well marching. So the next and last number here is the Minstrel Boy Blue set. And this one actually is comprised of a Scottish tune and an Irish tune, not in that order. And it's also going to be played at 100 beats a minute. Yeah, well, it's Minstrel Boy and Bluebells of Scotland. And after I finish this, I will tell you just a little bit more about the Scottish American Military Society, and more so about how this book came to be and what's coming up beyond this book, which includes, hopefully includes recording an album of this music with our small pipe band, so, or at least a contingent thereof. So this is going to be the Minstrel Boy Blue set, the last one for this evening. And as said, it is comprised of Minstrel Boy and Bluebells of Scotland. And I will be playing this at 100 beats a minute. And I suggest it be played anywhere from 100 to 110 beats a minute. Okay, so now comes the let's blabber about the book time. So once again, the music that I have been playing and just played all the way through is the music from the Patriotic Piper. I published this last November, I believe the 20th or 22nd, something like that. It is available on Amazon. Every copy sold goes to help support, a percentage of the sale helps to support Post 1889 here in Western Washington. Post 1889 is my Sam's Post, the Scottish American Military Society, sorry. Anyway, SAMS is a congressionally approved veterans organization, so it is the really real deal. How this book got started was, well, I joined the Post, and a friend of mine, Victoria, was already a member of the Post. And with going and doing the parades, we were, of course, playing with our posts while they were marching and carrying flags and saluting and doing all that good stuff. And we played from the music that we both knew and what worked. And at one point here, a little bit over 2 years ago, we said, you know, we really need music that is more of the character of the organization, since we're out presenting the organization. Now, of course, when we're playing the music as it is, we're already representing the culture and the heritage, which is one of the mission statements of the SAMs. And what we said, though, was we need music that's really kind of more in the character, and if ever there's an opportunity, really not unlike I'm doing right now, to talk about the music, to also share that history, to educate about that. So I ended up talking with both Victoria and then also Kelly, who was our bass drummer, and we ended up bouncing titles off of each other, and ultimately I came up with these 20 tunes. And during that time, we ended up attracting more drummers. We still need more pipers, but we attracted more drummers. And we ended up forming a small pipe band. What started out as 2 became 3 and then became 5. And I think there might actually be a 6th or 7th. Actually, we have another piper coming up, and she knows a piper that might be joining as well. So that's, of course, exciting. So this started out as what was just going to be a number of titles, and it ended up becoming, well, a book. And in this book is the 20 tunes arranged into the 8 performance numbers. I have the history of the tunes accompanying the tunes. And then to further work within the SAM's mission there, I decided to include Scottish and Irish recipes because, well, you're also talking to Woodby Island Baking Company right here. I'm a small business owner. And it all just made sense. And this book went together, and it made sense to make this a fundraiser item, both to sell to bagpipers because it has the music and history in there, but also to anybody that would like to help support the post and get a keepsake. And of course, the history is accessible to everyone, but so are the recipes. So it grew, and it really became an interesting book. And part of what happened with this too is this is the official book of the Post. We voted on this, and a number of the people within the Post supported the project. Well, basically everybody supported the project. A number of the people contributed to the project. A number of people that are in SAMs that are not in the same Post, they contributed. We also had people that just wanted to help support it, and that was really cool. They're not SAMs. Some of them aren't even American. What does it matter? It was really cool. This actually had about 3 editors. One of them was Canadian. She's also a piper, and that was just really amazing to have on board and fantastic to work with her. In fact, this Scottish character right here, see if I'm leaning the right way at the camera. This guy was originally painted by Scott Eliason, who's a member of our Post. He's a great guy. He was the first of 3 editors. Yeah, it's really been a fantastic project to have all of these people involved, because it was just going to be kind of Kelly, Victoria, and myself, and it ended up being kind of all of us. And what was really great about that is, in the end, this book really, this is kind of all of us in a book. And the book also includes, let me turn to a page here that's a good example. Nope, I turned past that. This isn't bad. So the book also includes recent photos of the Post, and those are throughout the whole publication, kind of our past and present. So that was fun. That was neat to do. About halfway through the project, because it took me about 2 years to complete this, and some of that was working on it. Some of that was I don't have time to work on it, and they needed to put it aside. Partway through, I ended up realizing that out of the tunes that were originally looked at to be in the book, I had a list. I worked with Excel and Word quite a bit, and to plan the book, I originally had that in Excel, and I had a list of tunes, and I said, oh, okay, let's boil this down to the 20 or so that are really applicable. I came up with what looked right for the book. And then I took those other 40 plus tunes and said, okay, I'm going to put those off to the side. Well, about 1 year into the project, I happened to go back and look at that other list, and I said, well, you know, here's a whole nother book right here. So really, to say, about a year ago, the Patriotic Piper Volume 2 got started. And since publishing this, there's been a number of really cool things that have happened. Largely cool. I'm happy for other people, but it's also been cool because I go, oh wow, this has happened, and really blew my mind. Nothing that I expected. Some of this got released right at the end of November, and there were people that bought it the same day that it published, and that was great. There were some people that bought the ebook and started making comments about it the same day. Nobody has said a single odd thing. Everybody says that they like this so far. A lot of those are pipers. A number of those people have done what's really ideal, which is go on Amazon and write a review there, because authors these days, particularly self-published authors like myself, in fact, really depend on reviews, because what it comes down to with Amazon, the reviews on Amazon serve in a couple of different ways. One of them is that other people, there are some people that read all the way through, like pretty much all reviews. The thing though is that gives other people, their peers, whereas myself as the author, frankly, I'm biased. Of course I love the book. I wrote it. I finished it. What have you. So they read comments from their peers, and if their peers say, I like this book, here's a little thing that maybe doesn't work so well, whatever. Basically, it gives more information on the book from the other buyers, other readers' perspective. So that helps. But the thing with Amazon too, and this is my understanding, I'm told it's true, I haven't seen anything very specific from Amazon that says, yes, this is exactly the case. When you see a product on Amazon, they all, of course, have a section for writing a review. So a product is a product, whether it's a book or a snowboard or whatever it is. But let's talk about books because, well, we're talking about books. When a book gets 50 or more reviews, then Amazon pushes it more. And I'm trying to get 50 reviews for every one of my books. And of course, today we're talking about this. If you go to Amazon, actually, if you go to pretty much any ebook seller, you'll also find a book called Let's Bake Cookie Squares and Biscotti by myself. That's an ebook, excuse me. That's an ebook, and it is free. If you get that, awesome. Sales alone make a numeric that helps sell the book. But what really helps the book is writing that review, giving those stars. So if you have a copy of this book, if you get a copy of this book, I know it's kind of a annoyance, but it really does help. Go write a review. I'm trying to get 50 on this. I'm trying to get 50 on Let's Bake Cookie Squares and Biscotti, and then my debut book, of course, Make Your Own Darn Good Cookies. So if you have copies of those, I'd very much appreciate it if you went and wrote a review. And in the case of the Patriotic Piper, if you write a review, if we get 50 reviews on this book, then Amazon, of course, helps push this book. If the book is getting pushed, then it should be getting more sales. If it's getting more sales, then, of course, my post, 1889, gets a little bit more money. So, yeah, please review. Please review. To that end, what a lot of people ended up saying after I published this, they said a lot of great things. What was amazing is right after Christmas, a number of people ended up saying, oh my God, I was really hoping to get this for Christmas and I got it. And, I'm happy for them. I'm really happy for them. It was just kind of weird to have a product, though, that other people wished for, dreamt of, wanted, longed for, and then were excited about with getting as a Christmas gift. So that was really neat. And it was really neat to see how excited they were. And that's been one of the myriad cool things that's happened with this book so far. I am trying to get on different podcasts that are piping themed to further promote the book. And of course, I'm doing what I can to promote the book online, not unlike what I'm talking about right now. And yeah, it's been an interesting project. It had a lot of discoveries along the way with the history, things that I didn't know about, and things that a lot of us, frankly, can identify with, even if we're not bagpipers. And to that end, one of them, frankly, is that let's see. The Army Goes Rolling Along. So the tune for the U.S. Army, as it turns out, let's see. So I don't have all of this memorized because I did the work. I wrote the book. I published it, and then I don't have to remember it. Army Goes Rolling Along. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Yes. Okay. So they ended up picking a tune by way of a contest in 1948. And excuse me, that one was fruitless. It was not until 52 that they ended up getting a tune for the military, but it sounded very similar to a comical tune called I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts. And that didn't seem to quite carry the pride that the Army wanted. So they ended up going back to the U.S. Field Artillery March written by John Philip Sousa in 1917, and then given different lyrics by Harold Arberg, retitled The Army Goes Rolling Along. Now, what ended up happening with this too, in the long and short of it, is that Sousa accidentally based his tune off of one from 1908 by First Lieutenant Edmund Gruber, who was a descendant of Franz Gruber, who composed the music to Silent Night. I mean, there's these surprising little things that were right there. I mean, even to that end, you go to the next page, Anchors Away. The fellow who composed Anchors Away for the military, for the Navy, excuse me, it was supposed to be played with one football game, and the Navy finally actually won 10-0. And it was the first time they had ever won the matchup against Army since it started in 1900. So they got pretty thrilled about that tune. Well, Charles Zimmerman, the fellow who wrote that, only I believe it was 4 years earlier, he wrote tunes for a brand new stage play called The Wizard of Oz. So there's some things like that that are very short distance to things that we're all familiar with. And that was one of the things that really made this a joy to work on, as well as working with the other people that I got to work with. And I'm looking forward to that in Patriotic Piper Volume 2. Like I said, it's the tunes that didn't go into this book. And that one should be about 40 tunes. The book will be structured differently than how this one is, and really should allow me to write everything that I want. Because in this book, you'll see, if you can see, there we go, is I have the tune and then the history on every page, just the same as here. Tune and then history. So doing it that way, I only had so much space to write the history. Now, since I'm not going to structure Patriotic Piper Volume 2 that way, when it comes to the history, I can write all I like. And I might include lyrics, I might include all sorts of stuff. But that one I'm also looking forward to. And the funny thing, too, among the different things that people have gone and said, hey, I love the Patriotic Piper Volume 1. Since it's Volume 1, that seems to imply that you're planning on doing Volume 2. Well, yeah, actually, I have concepts for 4 or 5 books total, something like that. And Patriotic Piper Volume 2 has already started. People have been asking about it. The piper that we are bringing into the band, my friend Shannon, she turned around. She was really excited about this. And she said, hey, how can I help with book 2? And she's already been serving as a volunteer research assistant. And with any luck, you know, there's a saying, many hands make light work. Well, with any luck, that will make the work go faster, and that would be pretty neat. So my hope, my aim this year, as far as books go, is to publish a recipe book of Scottish and Irish recipes. And ideally, that will be during the first half of this year, and that one's already basically half done. And then by the end of the year, publish a recipe book that is... Christmas cookies is the easy way of saying it, but it will actually go from Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's. That, I believe, is totally doable to do those 2 books, partly because those 2 books are already half complete. But if I have someone like Shannon helping me out on a book like this, I might not get the second book done this year, but I might get a lot of progress on that book in addition to those other 2. So that's a little bit about what's coming up books wise. One of the other things that was mentioned was that if we are playing this music in the Sam's Post Pipe Band, how hard would it be to record an album? Well, I've recorded albums before. I've got 2 of them right here. In fact, surprisingly, they take longer than you might think. There we go. And The thing though is, if we're playing this music, why couldn't we record an album? If we record an album, then when Post 1889 has their tents set up and are connecting with the public, and also having this available for sale live in person, and donation to the organization, of course. What about CDs? Because not everybody wants sheet music or history or recipes, but they might want music. And recording an album, depending on how you do it, it can be easier, it can be harder. And when this was mentioned, in fact, I think it might have been mentioned by Rob, who I believe is still watching here. When that was mentioned, I kind of went, yeah, no, I don't need more work. And how would I do that? Why would I do that? And why would I bother? And then, of course, I sat back, no. Oh, yeah, I could do the album this way. The band could record it this way. We can do the music. So I have an idea to take the music that's in here, play it in a slightly different way. I played it in a very Marshall sort of way tonight on a more folk type instrument, so it's kind of funny. But I figured out how to take these, not play them so it sounds like we're on a parade, because I mean, that's cool, but it's not necessarily as much fun to listen to. And I've figured out how to play these performance numbers in a way that is more performance-y. And the thing with that too, because like I said, I work in Excel a lot, I ended up plugging and chugging the numbers for how long those recorded pieces should end up being. And I looked at it and I said, hey, this is great. I've got some really great music lined up for the way to do this. And yeah, it's only going to be like a 20-minute album or something really short like that. And then I was thinking, well, maybe what we could do is we could record this live in a setting that's just the band, and then also see about getting an opportunity to get on a stage, maybe at like a beer garden or something like that, where we can get an enthusiastic audience. And then we could have basically a studio recording and then a live with an audience recording. Play the same music twice, but gee, you get a live audience and that changes everything, right? So anyway, there's a number of plans, and some of that, it's a little bit tricky because you look at it and you think, hey, yeah, let's get together and record that album and have that ready to go. Well, yeah, except we can't because, well, we got the whole quarantine thing going on. And there's also a matter that none of us have seen each other and gotten to play together for about a year now. And there's just a few obstacles. So it's kind of a matter of doing what you can when you can. So somewhere in here too, what I plan on doing is recording this music in the same sort of way that I performed it tonight, so the band can learn it, put that on YouTube, which has been one of the main intentions of playing tonight. And so other people can work on learning it, other pipers, other drummers too, so they can play against it. And then as well, I'll end up recording that music in the way that I would like to do the album. And at whatever point we can get together. And in the meantime, I will be working on more publications like the Patriotic Piper. So anywho, so that's kind of everything. So it's music and a lot of blab, blab, blab from Bagpiper Don. And to that end, I am Bagpiper Don. I am bagpiperdon.com. I'm Bagpiper Don on Haps. I am Bagpiper Don on Facebook. I'm Bagpiper Don on YouTube. I'm Bagpiper Don on Twitter, if anybody's still there. And heck, I was probably even Bagpiper Don on MySpace, which sounds like some people are going back to after recent days. Anyway, to that end, I am trying to do regular performances on Haps and Facebook, and then maybe now I'll also be doing those at least with YouTube. I do those every Friday at 1 p.m. on Pacific time. And the music I'm trying to work on more so now, because this book is done, the music I'm trying to work on now is back to an album that I started working on about 10 years ago and clearly had to pick up, put down, pick up, put down. And that music is more appropriate for this instrument. With any luck, prior to recording that album, I will have made enough extra money, which is money's funny, as the saying goes. I'm hoping to make enough extra money to be able to get a set of other small pipes that are referred to as real pipes. And that's REEL. And then I will have 2 different sounds that I could end up putting into my small pipe album. So anyway, a lot of work going on, but right now what I'm trying to do is any of the tips that come in from HAPS. I also do online lessons, take all of that money and end up sticking that away toward that set of Fred Morrison reel pipes. So anywho, piping, good fun stuff, but like a lot of other things, yeah. So anyway, so look for me on Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific here on HAPS. Look for me on Facebook, 1 p.m. Pacific. Look for me on YouTube, apparently 1 p.m. Pacific. And yeah, so out of the 45 or so of you who have joined me, thank you very much. And I will see you Friday. Take care.